Waste solar panel has become a trend in Nigeria. It has become an issue in the country now, where we have waste solar panel getting to the landfill and no pickers want to get involved in picking it because they are finding it difficult to recycle. So for us, we felt that it is something that we really need to look into and start working in that area, making sure that this does not get to the landfill.
In February of this year, I was invited for a conference in Nigeria. Now, I had never even been to Africa before, so I'm by no means an expert. But I wanted to research what happens with solar panels at the end of life in Lagos, and that's what I'll be showing you in this video. Let's start with some statistics. Nigeria is the largest population in Africa, and it's predicted by 2050 that it will be the third largest population in the world. Yet, 39% of the country still doesn't have access to electricity, and those who do have access to electricity usually only have it for a few hours a day. Traditionally, people use diesel generators to make up for the lack of power, and walking around in Lagos, you can see those everywhere. Apart from being noisy and polluting, diesel generators are also just very expensive. A report from Standard Bank estimates that the Nigerian economy spends about $26 billion every year on diesel generator fuel. And that is on top of a $22 billion every year being lost because of power outs. So it's no surprise that everyone who can afford it right now is switching to solar. The reason I went to Nigeria was for the Circular Economy Week, where we got to speak to stakeholders and even sign an MOU to increase the amount of circular economy in the Nigerian solar industry. Big thank you to Holland Circular Hotspot for inviting us there. Now, also funny story, during our pitch, we can easily cut the power in the whole conference center went out. So talk about a good illustration of the need to switch to solar. Obviously, Biosphere Solar is far from the only company that is bringing solar panels to Nigeria, but it does seem like we're one of the only ones that are actually thinking about the end of life and what happens to solar panels when they become waste. So I thought while I'm in Lagos, I'd take the opportunity to actually research what does happen to solar panels in a country that doesn't really have regulations on solar panel end of life. And my first clue came from this guy.
Darlington Godwin Dike is my name. I work for Goodyear Nigeria Limited as the lead project manager. I work in the area of waste entrepreneurship, where we have an indigenous bank that works in the area of waste recycling materials. We convert waste into instant cash for beneficiaries, and we also give them food items in exchange for waste they bring to our bank.
Godwin agreed to take me to the biggest dump site in Lagos. And after some bureaucracy, we managed to get permission from the Waste Management Authority, LOMA. Personally, I love going to landfills and dump sites. I find it a really humbling experience. Many countries incinerate household waste, but being on the dump site really lets you appreciate the scale of municipal waste. These dump trucks collect waste from all over the city and bring it to the dump site. Then, waste pickers check for any stuff that is still valuable, and they all want to be the first when the dump truck arrives. Each waste picker has their own specialization. Some pick plastic bottles, others cans, and so on. The waste they collect is then brought to the traders, which buy it from the waste pickers and, as far as I understood, mostly ship it abroad for recycling. Side note, the difference between a landfill and a dump site is that a landfill has been specifically prepared for the waste that it's going to receive, whereas a dump site doesn't have any preparation. And the manager of this place told me that this is definitely a dump site. I asked the waste pickers if they ever get solar panels.
No, not small. Whether you go see one, I be small one. No be say you go see plenty.
So unfortunately, we didn't find any solar panels on the dump site, apart from this solar lamppost, which I'm not sure was brought there or just somebody had knocked it over. So the dump site was a dead end. Luckily, through the conference, I had direct access to a lot of e-waste recyclers in Nigeria. And that's how I met Ilyas. He invited me to a huge outdoor market district just outside Lagos called Alaba International Market. There, I could already see a lot of solar products being sold from many electronic shops. First, Ilyas showed me his recycling operation.
My name is Ilyas Yusuf. I'm the founder of Elastec Enterprise Limited. We are into e-waste recycling solution. I focus mainly on e-waste, computer boards, phone boards, e-plastics, used CD plates, and so on and so forth. These are some of my products, you can see that.
Although Ilyas mainly focused on computers and phones, he agreed to take me to a place that also does solar panels. It was just around the corner from his shop, and when I got there, I was shocked. The recycling operation was basically an alley with a bunch of guys tearing down electronics, and the whole floor was strewn with broken solar panels. They explained to me that they take off the frames and the junction box, but they don't really know what to do with the glass laminate cell stack. So they just use it as flooring or roofing.
So what happens now when a solar panel is broken? What happens with the panel?
Normally we don't have collectors for that. So normally people used to collect it and use it to form a shelter for themselves.
And that's the crazy part. This stack contains valuable materials like copper, tin, silver, high-grade silicon, as well as toxic materials like antimony and lead. But this EVA glue layer just makes it impossible to separate those materials, so that part of the solar panel is just not even collected. And that also explains why it was so difficult for me to even find broken solar panels in the first place. Because when there's no regulations, recycling just becomes about the economics. And when you cannot make profit while recycling a certain thing, well, why even collect it? That would be a waste of time, right? So solar panels just end up on the side of the road, in the landfill, or in nature. Before leaving the Alaba International Market, I wanted to make a quick stop at this e-plastics dump site. Here, plastics from electronics are collected for export. And this place was absolutely shocking. Ilyas told me that they used to play football here as kids, but now it's a wasteland with huge piles of plastic, as well as fires that are burning constantly to remove the insulation of the copper cables. And people are just living and working there the whole day in this toxic smoke. Now, it goes without saying that Nigeria and so many other places around the world need safer and more responsible ways of managing waste, or maybe even avoiding waste in the first place. And Biosphere Solar can offer some of that solution, but there's something I want to stress. Nigeria, like so many countries around the world, struggles with corrupted institutions that are a remnant of the European colonizers that created the country in the first place. We've seen that no amount of aid and charity is going to fix that. And even worse, nowadays you see that the gaps left behind by those institutions are filled by corporations like Coca-Cola and Nestle, which provide something as basic as drinking water for huge amounts of profit. This lack of inclusive institutions means that it's very difficult for people to obtain something like a loan or an investment or a subsidy that you might need for, say, a solar system. That is why One Biosphere Foundation has started a new project called Biosphere Cooperative Finance. The goal is to build an inclusive institution, a structural tool that can give people access to things like sustainable solar systems. And on top of that, build a new kind of economic model. I would love to tell you more about that, but this project is still very much in the early stages, so it's gonna have to wait for a future video. So subscribe if you haven't already. Until then, Biosphere Solar is gonna continue bringing circular solar to people worldwide with product passports and end-of-life provisions, so if you want to know more about that, go to our website. If you want to support us with a donation, you can visit our GoFundMe page, and see you in the next video.